You're still doing everything right. You show up, you work, you push through. But somewhere along the way, the fire went out. This isn't burnout in the classic sense. You're not collapsed. You're not crying. You're not even visibly struggling. You're functioning perfectly. You're just not really there anymore. The samurai had a specific word for this state. They called it Kare. And here's what makes Kare different from every other challenge we've covered in this series. Kare doesn't feel like a crisis. It feels like Tuesday. The samurai considered this the most dangerous state a warrior could enter. Not rage, not fear, not grief, numbness. Because a man who is raging can be reached. A man who is afraid can be helped. But a man who has stopped feeling has lost the very instrument he needs to find his way back. Today I'm going to show you the exact two-stage samurai protocol for identifying Kare before it becomes permanent, and the practice they use to rebuild the fire from ash. But first, I need to tell you about the moment Kare is actually born, because it's not where most people think. In feudal Japan, the most celebrated samurai warriors weren't the ones who fought the most duels. They were the ones who survived the long stretches between duels. Because fighting, as brutal as it was, gave the warrior something to feel toward. A direction, a purpose, an immediate reason to be fully present. It was the silence after the battle that destroyed men. Historians documented this repeatedly. Warriors who had survived decades of combat, who had never broken under pressure, who had mastered every emotional state we've covered in this series, who returned home after their final battle and simply withered. You've seen this in modern life. The athlete who retires and loses all direction. The entrepreneur who sells the company and feels nothing. The man who finally achieves the goal he spent 10 years pursuing and stands at the summit wondering why it feels like nothing. The samurai philosophers identified the mechanism. Kare doesn't come from too much difficulty. It comes from too much disconnection between effort and feeling. When you push hard enough, long enough, disconnecting from how things feel, because feeling slows you down, because sensitivity feels like weakness, because you've trained yourself to be functional above all else, you don't just disconnect from the pain. You disconnect from everything. The numbness you built as armor became a wall, and now you're on the inside of it, safe and completely alone. In 2012, neuroscientist Dr. Martin Teicher at Harvard Medical School published research on what he called emotional blunting, the gradual reduction of the brain's capacity to generate and process emotional signals after prolonged stress exposure. The finding was striking. The brains of individuals who had suppressed emotional responses over long periods of time showed measurably reduced activity in the anterior insula, the region responsible for what scientists call interoceptive awareness, your ability to feel, not intellectually, physically feel what is happening inside your own body. Here's the piece most people don't know. The same neural pathways responsible for registering joy, meaning, and connection are also responsible for registering physical sensation, appetite, and motivation. When you shut one down, you don't selectively turn off the difficult feelings. You turn off the whole system. This is why Kare feels like flatness, not sadness, not depression in the clinical sense, but an across-the-board dimming of the instrument that was designed to tell you what matters. Most men describe it the same way. Nothing feels worth looking forward to. I used to care about this, now I just don't. I'm fine, I just don't feel much of anything. If any of those sentences sound familiar, you're not broken, you're withered. And Kare, unlike many things, can be reversed. The samurai built the protocol for it. The Samurai Kare Protocol. 2 stages. Built to rebuild feeling from ash. Stage 1. Zanshin. The remaining mind. Most people in this series have heard Zanshin described as a martial arts concept, the heightened awareness maintained after a technique is completed, after a sword strike, after a throw, after a duel ends. The warrior doesn't relax. The warrior doesn't celebrate. The warrior maintains full presence, because the moment isn't truly over until you've consciously closed it. That's the basic definition. But here's what Zanshin actually means in the context of Kare. And this is the part that took me the longest to understand. Zanshin is not just about physical alertness after action, it's about staying emotionally present through the entire arc of experience, including the part after the intensity. The samurai noticed something critical. Care doesn't develop during hard times. It develops in the space after hard times, when the crisis is over, when the goal is achieved, when the war is won, and the warrior goes immediately to the next task without ever pausing to fully close the previous one. You've had this experience. A project finishes, a goal is hit, a hard season finally ends, and before you've even taken a breath, you're already moving to the next thing. Not because you're excited about it, because stopping feels dangerous, because the moment you stop moving, you might actually feel how exhausted you are, how hollow, how long it's been since something felt real. The samurai's solution was deliberate Zanshin, conscious, ritual closure of every significant experience before moving to the next one. Not celebration, not analysis, presence. The practice works like this. After any significant event, completed project, ended season, achieved goal, you stop, completely, for a minimum of 5 minutes, and you ask 3 questions. Question 1, what did that actually require of me? Not what you produced, what it cost you, physically, emotionally, energetically. Be specific. Question 2, what did I feel during it? Not what you should have felt, what you actually felt, even if the answer is nothing, especially if the answer is nothing. Question 3, what needs to be honored before I move on? Not what needs to be celebrated, what needs to be acknowledged in your own private accounting before it closes. Most men resist this practice because it asks them to slow down and feel something. And feeling something when you've been numb is deeply uncomfortable. The first emotion that comes back is almost never joy. It's usually grief or exhaustion or anger at how long you've been running on empty. But here's what the samurai understood that modern performance culture never tells you. The discomfort of feeling is the antidote to Kare, not the symptom. The return of uncomfortable feeling is the first sign that the instrument is coming back online. It means Zanshin is working. Don't flee it. Stay with it. That discomfort is your aliveness returning. But Zanshin alone addresses what creates Kare going forward. It doesn't address what's already withered. For that, the samurai had a second practice, one they considered more difficult than any physical training they undertook. And it requires you to do something that most disciplined men consider a form of weakness. Stage 2, mono-no-aware, leaning into what moves you. Mono-no-aware, loosely translated as the pathos of things, is one of the oldest and most central concepts in Japanese aesthetic philosophy. It describes the bittersweet sensitivity that arises when you allow yourself to be genuinely moved by the impermanence of beautiful things. The cherry blossom that falls the moment it peaks. The last light at the end of a perfect day. The final page of a book you didn't want to end. The Japanese don't find this sad. They find it profound, because mono-no-aware recognizes that the very thing that makes something beautiful is that it won't last. Now, why does a 12th century Japanese aesthetic concept have anything to do with emotional numbness in a modern man's life? Because mono-no-aware requires the one thing care has taken from you, the willingness to be affected, to let something reach you, to stop protecting yourself from feeling, to deliberately expose yourself to things that move you, even knowing they will end. The samurai didn't wait to feel moved. They scheduled it. Once a week, not as a spiritual exercise, but as a mental maintenance practice, they would deliberately expose themselves to something designed to create mono-no-aware. A piece of calligraphy, a meditation on a specific memory, sitting with the changing of light at dusk, reading poetry that they found genuinely moving, not because it felt good, because feeling, any feeling, was confirmation that the instrument was still working. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio's research, Descartes' Error, 1994, found that emotional processing is not separate from rational function. It is the foundation of it. Patients with damage to emotional processing centers couldn't make effective decisions, not because they became irrational, but because they became indifferent. Without the ability to feel the weight of options, no option mattered more than any other. Care is not a spiritual crisis. It is a functional crisis. The instrument you use to evaluate what matters, what to pursue, who to be, has gone dark. Mono aware turns it back on, deliberately, consistently, one small exposure at a time. Now I need to address something, because when I describe mono aware to most men, the first reaction is resistance. That sounds like being emotional. I don't want to sit and feel sad about cherry blossoms. This is the opposite of discipline. Here's the samurai's response to that. The warrior who cannot feel cannot truly be brave, because bravery requires feeling fear and choosing to act anyway. The man who feels nothing isn't brave, he's just moving. There is a fundamental difference between the man who feels deeply and chooses his response, and the man who has stopped feeling and therefore doesn't need to choose. The first is Fudoshin, the immovable mind we covered earlier in this series. The second is Kare. One is mastery, the other is the slow erasure of the self. Here's how you combine both stages into a weekly practice. Daily, Zanshin close. At the end of every day, before sleep, spend 3 minutes answering, what happened today that actually required something of me? Did I acknowledge it, or did I just move past it? Not journaling, not analysis. 3 breaths, 1 honest answer. Weekly, mono aware exposure. Once a week, deliberately expose yourself to something designed to move you. This must be chosen with care. It should not be passive consumption, not scrolling, not Netflix. Something that makes a specific demand on your capacity to feel, a piece of music you haven't heard in years, a conversation with someone you genuinely love, with your full presence and no agenda, a physical place that meant something to you at a different stage of life, a piece of writing, a poem, a letter, a story that once moved you. When you feel the emotion begin to rise, don't redirect it. Let it complete. That is the opposite of everything a high-performing, disciplined man has been trained to do. Let it complete. Because the complete feeling, however uncomfortable, is the proof that care is losing its hold. And that proof is everything. I want to end this video with something I've been building toward across this entire series. We've covered Mushin, the empty mind. We've covered Fudoshin, the immovable mind. We've covered Funu, the danger of reactive anger. We've covered discipline, mastery, emotional protocols. And across all of it, there is one thread. The samurai did not train to stop feeling. They trained to feel more accurately, more deliberately, with more choice about what to do with what they felt. Zanshin, the remaining mind, is not just the practice after a sword strike. It is the practice of bringing your full self into every experience, so that no experience is allowed to pass through you without leaving its mark. Not its damage, its mark. The exhaustion that tells you it mattered. The grief that tells you it was real. The joy, yes, the joy, that tells you you're still alive enough to receive it. Care is not a character flaw. It is what happens when a man is disciplined enough to survive anything, but has forgotten to stay present to what surviving costs. The samurai didn't fear death, but they feared care, because care is the death that happens while you're still walking around. The practice we covered today, Zanshin and mono aware, is the commitment to never let that happen, to remain fully, no matter what it costs to feel. Today's video in one structure, Kare, the withered state, develops not from difficulty, but from disconnection between effort and feeling. The samurai's 2-stage response. Stage 1, Zanshin. Deliberately close every significant experience before moving to the next. 3 questions, 5 minutes, non-negotiable. Stage 2, mono aware. Once a week, intentionally expose yourself to something designed to move you. Let the feeling complete. That completion is the recovery. Now, everything we've covered in this series, Mushin, Fudoshin, funu, kare. These are individual protocols for individual states. But the samurai didn't live their life protocol by protocol. They had a single, unified strategy that held all of it together. A philosophy of time, of how to think about the long game in a way that made every individual battle feel not just bearable, but meaningful. Tokugawa Ieyasu embodied this more than any other figure in Japanese history. He waited 40 years, not passively, with a precision and a patience that modern strategic thinking still hasn't fully decoded. That's the next video, and it might be the most important one in this series. It's linked on screen right now. One question before you go. Of the two stages, Zanshin and Mono no aware, which one are you more likely to actually practice this week? Drop it in the comments. And if this video reached you, not just informed you, but actually reached you, subscribe, because that feeling you just had, that's the opposite of care. Hold on to it. I'll see you in the next one.